Okay guys, there is 3 new BYD electric vehicles that we've just seen spied and that have been announced within the past 24 hours. So this video is actually about 3 different electric SUVs coming from BYD within the next few months. Actually, all of them look amazing. I don't know how people are going to choose. There's so many different BYD vehicles coming. Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans, you're watching the Electric Viking. Great to see you. BYD's new flagship. Let's start with the most expensive one first, and we'll kind of work our way down in terms of what I think the pricing will be for these 3 different vehicles. One of them is very affordable, one of them is like mid-high. The other one's this new Denza N9. It's basically a BYD Denza N9 SUV. It's been spied in China. It's coming out in late 2024. Looks pretty big to me. Looks like it'd be probably, for example, bigger than a Tesla Model Y for sure. Now, pictures show this is the largest SUV yet from the Denza brand. Now, if you're not sure what the Denza brand is, it's a joint venture between Mercedes and BYD. Now, of course, Mercedes have almost no involvement whatsoever other than owning a very, very small percentage of this joint venture. As soon as Mercedes sold the majority of their 50% stake to BYD, all of a sudden BYD started producing cars under the Denza brand. It was a pretty smart tactic. Pictures show this car is, it's quite big to me, and I quite like the shape of it. Now, I would estimate this vehicle is around about 5 meters long, probably about the same size as a Tesla Model X, for example, but as you can see, the styling's not at all like a Tesla Model X. It's much more traditional type shape. I think this will appeal to a lot of internal combustion buyers, Mercedes buyers, but probably they're going to see this and go, wow, this thing is amazing. Apparently, it's going to have the same drivetrain as the Denza N9 GT, meaning it would have a 230 kilowatt or 300 horsepower motor on the front, and then 2 motors on the back. So this would be a tri-motor vehicle like the Tesla Model S Plaid or the Tesla Model X Plaid. It has 2 320 horsepower motors on the rear. So you're looking at probably a total of about 900 horsepower from this vehicle in its top spec, right? In its top spec version. So the plug-in hybrid version, apparently there will likely be a plug-in hybrid version and an EV only version. The plug-in hybrid version would use BYD's 479ZQA 2-liter turbo engine, meaning it would have 152 kilowatts, about 200 horsepower coming from that engine. But of course, it would run as an EV only for the first, I'm going to guess, 100 to 150 kilometers, something like that. Anyway, as you can see, it's likely there's going to be 2 different versions, like I said, plug-in hybrid and EV only. Now, the Z9 GT is actually 5.2 meters long. It's very, very big, very, very long. But this vehicle, in my opinion, looks like it might be slightly shorter, but as you can see, much, much more practical shape. So much more traditional SUV type shape. I think it's a very good chance, guys, that actually this will have BYD's new Blade battery. So it's new Blade battery version 2, meaning it would have a higher energy density battery. It should have a new architecture as well, and that would enable faster charging, much faster charging than what they had in the past. Now, one thing BYD has begun doing is it started actually being able to charge BYD's newest vehicles, some of their latest vehicles, kind of like the same way that General Motors are doing with the Silverado, as in splitting the battery pack into 2 different sections, and then you can charge both of them at the same time, meaning you double the charging speed. That's a really, really good idea, and it does actually work. I've seen it in the real world. It does work. So that's probably the kind of technology we're going to see in this new BYD vehicle, and it's one of the things that will set it apart from its competition, like Mercedes EVs in this sector, for example, or other vehicles from, say, Li Auto or XPeng or even NIO as well. Guys, let me know what you think about this vehicle. But before we kind of move on to the cheapest car here, let's have a look at BYD's Fang Cheng Bao 3. The Fang Cheng Bao 3 has been spotted, and apparently the price of this vehicle will start at $30,000 US. So it's a little bit cheaper than a Tesla Model Y, for example, but this is not a full EV. This is a plug-in hybrid, and apparently as well, the Fang Cheng Bao vehicles could be coming to Australia. Now, we know the Fang Cheng Bao, the Bao 5, apparently that is coming to Australia, which looks really, really good, I've got to say. I'll have a new video on that vehicle coming soon as well. It has a 15.6-inch screen on the inside. The size, it's about 4.7 meters long. Wheelbase is 2750. So what platform will this new Fang Cheng Bao for $30,000 what an amazing deal that is, have? Okay, plug-in hybrid. It has a 1.5 litre BYD turbocharged 476ZQF engine. Very efficient engine. It's not really made for peak power. It's more made for efficiency. So it doesn't have a whole lot of power. It's got 143 kilowatt. It's really just made to kind of drive at an efficient, the most efficient level possible. The Bao 3 will have dual electric motors, so 2 electric motors, and it will have a maximum horsepower of about 420 horsepower, so 310 kilowatt. Now the Bao 5, we don't know the battery pack size that's coming in the Bao 3 for the plug-in hybrid, but we do know that the size in the Bao 5 is a 31.8 kilowatt hour pack. So say a 32 kilowatt hour blade battery, probably going to get about, I would estimate, 150 kilometers of range on the battery alone, just using the battery by itself. But if you use the motor in combination with the battery, they're actually really efficient. I think you're going to get probably at least 1,000 kilometers of range from the combination between the battery and the motor, which is actually pretty damn amazing. So for $30,000, if that did come to other countries worldwide, I think you'd be looking at a price of, maybe $45,000 around that area in terms of price. So a similar price to a Tesla Model Y, very likely. Now, finally, the last vehicle here, another plug-in hybrid, the Song LDM. Now, Song vehicles are one of BYD's best-selling vehicles in the world, but they only sell these in China. The Song Plus has a DMI 5.0 powertrain, so it's using the new BYD powertrain, which is an improvement or an advancement over the existing powertrain, the existing skateboard that you see in, for example, the BYD Seal, the BYD Dolphin, and those other vehicles which use the 3.0 version. So the Song L actually looks a little bit to me, guys, like BYD Atto 3. The styling is quite similar. Maybe it's a slightly bigger vehicle from what I can tell here from these images, from these kind of spy images here. However, using its 5th generation DMI system or plug-in hybrid system, it uses a 1.5 litre engine with 74 kilowatt of power, so around 100 horsepower, and only 126 newton meters of torque. So it's not a very powerful engine, but of course it works in conjunction with the electric motors, with the battery. And this is a very, very affordable car. You're looking at around $20,000 for one of these cars. Plug-in hybrid, there's 2 battery pack options. The smaller option with less range has an 18.3 kilowatt hour blade battery. The other option has a 26.6 kilowatt hour battery pack. So how much range do you get with those size batteries just on battery pack alone? The smaller battery, 18 kilowatt battery, gives you 91 kilometers of range, and the 26.6 gives you 128 kilometers of range. Now, personally, I don't see the point of a car like this. I just think if you're going to buy a car in this segment, this price range, what's the point of getting a plug-in hybrid? They definitely are more plagued with problems and complaints and things in China. There's no question about that. Across all brands, plug-in hybrids just seem to have, they're much more complex than an EV. Obviously, you're combining an EV with an internal combustion car. Well, I mean, obviously there's things that are going to go wrong, and they do. There's no doubt about that. I know I've made a few videos and people have been very emotional. They've really reacted when I've said that there's a lot more complaints about them, but there is, and there's a lot more fires as well. BYD fires with their EVs are almost non-existent. Plug-in hybrids, there's a few. Now, aside from that, yeah, these cars are great value, but I just don't see the point when you can get an Atto 3 for less than this, right? I mean, and that thing has 500 kilometers of range. Do you really need to attach a motor to it? I don't see the point, personally, unless you're driving like enormous distances on a daily basis. Maybe if you're driving, say, 800 kilometers a day, or say 500 miles a day every day, I could understand, this would be more efficient for you to get one of these vehicles. That would make more sense in your use case. But for 99% of users, I really don't see the point of one of these affordable plug-in hybrids. I think you're better off just going EV only. Now, that said, apparently these are one of the most efficient vehicles in the world, and BYD says it's 46% thermally efficient. It uses 2.9 liters per 100 kilometers. That's not just for the first 200 kilometers, but that's for the entire kind of drive. So let's say you started off on a drive from one place to the other, you drive 1,000 kilometers. Apparently you can do 2,000 kilometers of range in this vehicle. So let's say you did 2,000 kilometers apparently BYD is saying this vehicle will use only 2.9 litres of gasoline per 100 or per 60 miles you drive, per 100 kilometres per 60 miles, 2.9 litres. I mean, you can really see now why Toyota wants to use BYD's plug-in hybrid technology, because it's so much more efficient. It's so much more advanced than Toyota's. It's incredible. This kind of thermal efficiency is truly staggering. Now, if you combine the power of the motors, the actual internal combustion motor with the electric motors, you get 160 kilowatt, which is about 220 horsepower. It's got plenty of power, more than enough power. Yeah, for me personally, this vehicle, it's a similar size to a Tesla Model Y, by the way. But for me personally, I really, really love the Denza. The Denza N9, this flagship electric SUV, I think that's going to be a really kind of like aspirational type vehicle. I think BYD are going to make that, like I said, 900 horsepower. That's insane. I mean, looking at nearly 700 kilowatt. I honestly think that cars like this, they're going to make people think twice about buying a Mercedes, buying a BMW, buying an Audi. What is the advantage of buying one of those? I think the technology you're going to find in one of these BYD electric SUVs will probably be even better. Thanks for watching.